Welcome, everybody, to the 2025 Camp Symposium. My name is Bryant Tan, better known as Level, and I am the Associate Director for City Planning in Black Rock City, better known as Placement. So 2025 is underway. I know that there's been rumors out there like, is Burning Man actually going to happen? Yes, it's absolutely happening. Folks have bought tickets. You yourselves, I'm sure, have. We're very busy planning and really trying to find a way to get everyone who wants to be in Black Rock City back there. As of today, I just looked at the numbers right before we started. There are 415 camps that have already filled out the Place Camp questionnaire, which is exciting. Typically, we have up to 1,600. And so that is due on next Thursday, March 27th. So mark your calendars. I'm sure many of you are already have that in your heads if you haven't already submitted yet. The last thing I want to say before we get started with our program is really, I know the world is feeling really rocky and unstable right now. There's so many things kind of trying to vie for our attention, affecting our lives. And I do hope, I've heard this through many spaces, that there's nothing more needed right now than Burning Man. And I hope you all believe that, because the community that we build, the city that we build together is really in the face of all the things that have been challenging, not just this year, but every year there's so many things going on. And so I hope you all feel inspired to come back or come for the first time. I also hope you feel inspired today with all the lovely content we have for you. If you haven't done already, please introduce yourselves in chat. Let us know who you are, where you're coming from. That's always really helpful. Yeah, I think I do want to acknowledge our planning team. It takes a whole volunteer team many months to pull this together. So I'm just going to name them: Andrew, Dustin, Griffin, LL, PETA, Puppy, Siobhan, Redbird Bean, and Vesper Bell. Thank you, thank you, thank you. These folks have been hard at work for many months to make this happen and to make sure this goes as smoothly as possible. And thank you to all of our chat and tech moderators and panelists who will be speaking today to share your wisdom with the rest of the community. So this is a welcome session, and we are going to do some breakouts immediately after this. And so to welcome you, unfortunately, we weren't able to get our CEO, Marian Goodell, here today live, but she has a pre-recorded message, and then we will also do another welcome from Charlie Dolman, our event operations director. So let's hear what Marian's got to say.
Hello, everybody in Theme Camp World. It's really lovely to be here this morning and say hello to all of you. I know that Black Rock City is going to be the best Burning Man ever in 2025, and I'm really stoked that you all are going to be part of it. I think you'll hear through the conversations you have today, and maybe you've even seen in the newsletters, that Level and the team have really been working to help make it smoother to get to Burning Man, and we're all trying to make it smoother and super fun. I love hearing about the different kinds of ideas that are coming. Level's giving me a little insight that some of our favorites are coming back, and there's some new camps that look really cool. And I love the, encouragement that we don't have to get bigger and bigger, but we can keep the small and quirky and cool. I look forward to exploring the back streets where some of the really unique camps are. And of course, all of our big standards that we have on the Esplanade and out in 10 and 2 that are always, great to come and visit. So you guys are bringing it from all over the world. I cannot believe how far some of you guys come from. And you're bringing people from different walks of life, and you're bringing folks from overseas, and you're melding it all together in this amazing melting pot that we have that is Black Rock City. And I just want to really thank you and appreciate all of you for that work. It's been quite a journey since the pandemic, and we're all feeling really, really good about the future. And thank you so much for being part of it. I really appreciate it. And have a good day with the symposium, and back to you, Level.
All right, thanks, Marian. As Marian noted, we are doing our best, not just in placement, but across Burning Man departments to make things easier and smoother and faster and quicker for participants. So, from the placement end of things, hopefully many of you notice, over half of you have been fast-tracked, which means that you've had a shorter place camp questionnaire to fill out than in previous years, and we've also tried to pre-populate a lot more questions to make that easier for you, especially if you don't have any changes going on in your camp, and we can count on the tried and true that you've done. So you'll hear more about that as we go along, definitely later on in the plenary. But I'd love to bring on Charlie Dolman, our event operations director, to also say hello to you today. And Charlie, come on up.
Am I there? High level.
Hey, yep, there you go.
Happy Saturday, everybody. So nice to see you folks here today. Thank you for taking time of the weekend to come and be part of this community and help us move towards Black Rock City. Um, I'm super excited to see how this year rolls out. You know, yesterday or last year, the theme for the event was Curiouser and Curiouser, but we have our kind of internal staff theme that we engage each year. And so last year it was really about kindness. And we really leaned hard into it as an organization and as the teams and as the humans out on the ground, to slow down, to try to improve our interactions, to bring our best selves as much as we could to all of the conversations and all of the work that we did and all of the ways that we interacted together as a community. And I saw some really positive outcomes with that. I know it's not perfect. We are all humans. But I do believe that we did make progress on that. And then, so how do we build on that for today? Well, you know, Level mentioned that many of you will have hopefully seen or grokked and kind of had little light bulbs come on that the place camp questionnaire has been adjusted and there's a fast track process and simpler. Well, we've added other things in as well, because believe it or not, we know that we're bureaucratic and we don't want to be bureaucratic. And we'd love to be a little bit more human and to humanize the work that we all have to do to organize ourselves to get into Black Rock City. So you've seen the Place Camp questionnaire. We have been doing similar work with the art questionnaire and with the DMV questionnaire. Some of that is on the ground, some of that is in the questionnaire, but it's all like, where can we adjust and trim and streamline the process so that it's less onerous and more enjoyable and more personal? We're also working on, you know, a lot of other things that we can do around the event. So we're looking at Exodus traffic patterns. We're looking at office hours, so you've got access to staff. You know, we really are looking across all of the things that we do to try to improve the experience and make it more human for everybody. Because, well, you know, what's the future? Well, you know, we are leaning hard into being the change that we want to see in the world and creating the world that we want to see. You know, we want the world to be thriving and connective and creative. And we know that you guys are the lifeblood of all of that. And so we should do our best to show up to that conversation in a way that supports you being part of that and for this community to continue to be awesome. So that's what we're doing. I would love ideas. My email is eventoperationsdirector@burningman.org. That'll come out in some notes. If you've got ideas or thoughts, email them to me, and we can work together to improve Burning Man for everybody. So I'm super excited. I love you guys. I used to be a theme camp organizer before I was this, and I remember how exciting it is to bring all the pieces together, and how important all of that stuff is on the ground in Black Rock City. So you guys really are the magic, and I appreciate you all. Thank you very much. I love you. Have a great day. Back to Level.
All right, thank you so much, Charlie. Yeah, theme camps really do make Black Rock City, you know, kind of like, what would Burning Man be without theme camps? It would be a lot of art that no one is there to enjoy. All right, so you know we're together here today as a camp community, and what I wanted to do to kind of kick things off before we go into breakouts was to think about what's the history and legacy that we are continuing today with theme camps. As an organization, we're doing a big effort, have been for several years, to try to document our cultural history of various departments, various groups. I would encourage folks, you know, even in your own theme camps, I know some are just starting out, but if you've been around for a while, you probably have a lot of things documented. Maybe you don't have a lot of things documented, but to do that, because it's important, you know, we're going into the fourth decade of Burning Man. and there's new people coming to the fold all the time. And the question is, how do we continue that legacy? What is the importance of theme camps, and how do we continue that on? So I've assembled a panel, a very esteemed panel today, to talk about that. So we have Harley K. DuBois, who is our Chief Cultural Officer. Hi, Harley. We also have Stuart Mangrum, the director of our Philosophical Center here in Burning Man Project. Good morning, Stuart. And we have Annie Grace, who is also part of the Philosophical Center. So hi, y'all.
High level.
Hello.
All
Hi,
right,
everybody.
so we're going to chat for the next 14 minutes. I wanted to see first if you just could introduce yourselves and say a little bit about your personal experience with theme camps, whether you've run them or just participated in them, or founded placement and helped manage them. Yeah, so let's maybe go around the clock. Harley, why don't you go first, and then we'll do Stuart and Annie Grace.
Sure. I came up with placement and I came up with theme camps. 1994, we were debriefing after the event. And I said, why don't we line our circle, because that's all we had at the time, with all those really cool camps that are doing really cool things that are so artistic, so that we can define our roads or spaces in San Francisco and in Black Rock City, like we do in any city. My city is San Francisco. Instead of it being stores, why isn't it just creative art? So I actually managed the hotline at the time. This is before the internet. And every time somebody called me up asking about a ride share or asking about how to get a ticket or how to do this or that, the other thing, I'd say, by the way, what are you doing? And I kept a list of all the cool camps. I said, you sound like a theme camp. Do you want me to place you? And then I just placed them around the circle. That was the only thing that existed. And started managing the process from there. So in 1995, I think we had like 32 theme camps. 96, we had like 50 some odd, and 97, we had 100. And it just kept doubling from there. So I'm one of the founders of Burning Man. I'm also the Chief Cultural Officer, and I'm happy to be here today. Thank you.
Thanks, Harley. Wow. Calling in an hotline and registering your theme camp that way. I can't even imagine what that's like if we try to do that now. Stuart, how about yourself?
Hey, my first burn was 1993, and there were some, I guess what you would call theme camps there, but they were very much in the cacophony style of street theater or interactive performance. They weren't any place. There was no hospitality really, unless you count spoiled eggnog at Christmas camp as hospitality. So in 1994, some friends and I put together what I kind of consider the first modern theme camp. It was Tiki Camp, where you could actually sit in the shade and have a drink and hang out with people. We did that for 3 years. Then in 97 on the Hualapai, we did a bar village called the Neighborhood, which I think kind of presaged Golden Guy Alley, if you will, at a much smaller scale. Then in the early teens, when I rejoined Burning Man, I participated in a camp called Campo Misterioso. We did a great neighborhood bar over on 6 o'clock and made a lot of memories for a lot of people. But what I'm really most proud of is that in my role as education director, I was able to work with your predecessor level with Answer Girl, with Retro, and you when you showed up. Actually, I remember I think your first day on the job was the Camp Symposium at Gray Area.
Yeah.
But I don't know, you old timers may remember that like 10 years ago, this event was very, very different. Talk about bureaucracy. It was a half day in the office of pretty much every department standing up and giving you do's and don'ts, mostly don'ts. No knowledge sharing, no user generated content. So I'm very proud that I helped evolve that event into this amazing thing that it is today, and very happy to be part of it.
Thank you, Stuart, for planting those seats. Things started with a phone call and a in-person lecture, and look where we are today. A little different. All right, Annie Grace, can you tell us a little bit about your own personal history with theme camps?
Sure. So in 1997, when my bandmates invited me to camp with them at the event, I helped to prepare the shade structure for Motel 666, which was essentially a bar in walk-in camping and some shade and camping with clever writers. It was great, but not exactly high concept. It was wonderful, and it evolved into a lot of fun things, and there's threads of it that are still alive today. Then I joined Gigsville after that. I did a theme camp of my own in about 2000 called Project X and camped with them for several years. And then when I started working for the organization, Media Mecca isn't a theme camp, but it is a public facing camp. So I dealt with the placement process for that and have been in center camp for a really long time. And then last year I decided that I had too much copious free time and I missed more directly missed engaging with Burning Man at a level that I wanted to try again. So I started a theme camp in center camp called Space Cats. We did karaoke and we're adding comedy this year.
Oh, comedy, not just karaoke.
Not just karaoke. We
Uh,
gotta laugh these days, am I right?
yeah. Need a lot more laughter. Yeah. Well, I'm curious, right? You collectively have decades of experience in Black Rock City, and have seen sort of camps grow and then maybe fade away and come back, or maybe not, or evolve into other things. I'm curious, can you just tell me a little bit of your favorite theme camps from the past that may not exist today, or maybe they do have continue to exist? Um, Maybe let's go the other way. Andy Grace, I'm gonna put you on the spot first.
Well, I'm thinking back as far as I can, and I remember I didn't know what I was getting into when I went to camp with my friends at Burning Man. I had heard there was art, and then of course spent a little time getting to know my campmates, and then there was that bike ride that we went on, and I ran into what was then, I guess I'm hearing about 100 camps. I ran into one of those camps, and somebody said, "Ooh, flight to Mars." And I had no idea what I was in for. And you crawled in through this orifice kind of thing. There was a hidden ball pit that I think it took me till the second time to find. And that was my first engagement with any kind of gift like that from a group of people to get together and do something so elaborate and preordained and pre-discovered and created with a concept. And it was so much fun. And we went back again and again. And there were other places. I see Bianca's. KJ said Bianca's in the chat. The idea that this concept existed was what showed me was different about this place from just going camping with my friends at any other time. For this Midwestern kid, maybe a carnival compared, but you paid for that, and this was being given away. And so that was when I really kind of grokked the heart of what Black Rock City really was.
Very cool. Very cool. Stuart, you mentioned that the kind of original theme camps were in the vein of Cacophony Society, like performance. Yeah, do any of those stand out or any others?
I mean, there are a few that I didn't get to see because they were before my time. There were what we would probably call theme camps now before I showed up, as long as we've been on Playa. There was the Modern Primitives who decided to smear themselves with mud, speak in a made-up language, and gave people their made-up coins. There was Miss Vivian's Posh Camp, where she managed to maintain an extremely elegant lifestyle in the dust through some sleight of hand. But personally, it's my 3 years with Campo Misterioso. I think we just created just a magical little scene there. It was very much, it's corny, but it was kind of like the Cheers neighborhood bar where people, old timers, new timers, staff members, participants could come there and make friends. In some cases, make lasting relationships. In our second year, we had a couple who had been first timers the year before. They said, "You're back. We met here. We got married." And those kind of intergenerational stories really, really touched my heart. And the camp mutated, I would say, when we cut it down and turned it into the Black Rock Tea Company. I know Michael Fassman Dustin's here today, so it lives on in spirit.
Misterioso is now Black Rock Tea Company. I just learned something new. I didn't know that was an evolution.
Well, we kept the trademark, but they took some of the infrastructure.
Great. Harley, how about you?
Well, my first year in 1995 placing camps, birthday camp was my favorite camp. It was your birthday every day, and they had presents for you every day. So it was just a cute, simple idea, but it just sort of tickled me. I think one that's worth noting from the past was from Portland Cacophonies, disgruntled postal workers who created their own outfits or went to thrift stores and found postal worker outfits, and they had real guns on their backs, like big rifles on their backs. And it was a little scary to me because I'm not a gun person, but no judgment. And then they were okay at that time, but they were disgruntled and walked around camp and were very funny if you weren't threatened. But I just had to make a plug for my own camp. I never did a theme camp. And I started my own theme camp. It'll be my third year now, called Playa Paul's Concierge Services, and all of you guys should come by because it's really a learning opportunity for what not to do at Burning Man, but it's a one big joke, just one big joke. And so that totally in the spirit of Cacophony and the early days where you're going to be challenged a little bit, but it's going to be funny and you're going to enjoy it. So please come by Paul's Concierge Services.
What's also funny, I don't know if everyone knows this, but we have a doing it wrong at burningman.org email address where people get to like write in and say, oh, there's this plug and play situation, or these people are doing it wrong, that people are doing it wrong. We actually got an email saying Playa Paul's Concierge Service was doing it wrong because people were like, they're renting out Segways. WTF. So good job, Harley. Part of why I wanted to pull this together and talk about history is I feel like when new camps now discover Burning Man or want to participate and build a theme camp, they have like preconceived notions of what that should look like because things have changed. So I think the flavor of theme camps today that are starting out might be different than it was in the past. So I'm kind of curious, with this line of fun, jackassery, interesting things, making things unique, how would you recommend people do that? And what enabled that in the past that you think we could bring back more or see more of in kind of today's Black Rock City? I'm going to pick a different order now. Maybe I'll ask Stuart. Would you want to try to tackle this first?
And all I can say to this level is embrace the change. We forget so easily that it's a fresh palette every year. And I think there's a tendency to, particularly if we have a successful camp and a successful year, to just keep doing that same damn thing and grinding it into the ground, when there's so many opportunities to mix it up, to rethink your interactivity, and to refresh, your crew. It's a natural process for camps to split, to mutate, to, spawn other camps, to embrace that and not try to fight that, right? And to just realize that each of those people who are taking it out into their own experiences, they are learning great skills. They're learning logistics skills, they're learning leadership skills. And the more people we have in our community who have that level of leadership, the more effective we're going to be and the longer we're going to last.
Great advice. Annie Grace, I see you nodding a lot, so I'm going to pick you next.
I'm really agreeing with the evolution thing, and sometimes you can get so high concept. I referred to that high concept, but sometimes you can get so married to that experience over and over that we forget to go out and enjoy the city. We get ourselves into stressful relationships with a cohort. We just get burnt out. One of the reasons I tried to shake it up last year, and I'm thinking back again into the deepest parts of history. And my husband's first theme camp, Tom Price, he camped with Camp Sunscreen. And other than having a place for people to be sunscreened, there's not a lot of high concept there. You bring a bunch of sunscreen and you help people stay safe from the sun, and you're going to meet new people. You're going to work together to cover the shifts. And it's very simple and a great way to engage. And I think as we've evolved through our years of ticket scarcity and how theme camps came to represent our connection to that, and now we have a little bit more ease in our room and we're getting to invite new friends, that keeps things alive, and you have to be not afraid to evolve with it and have fun.
Thanks, Andy. Harley, any thoughts about just how people keep things interesting and keep jackassery alive?
Well, jackassery is tricky because when it's done well, it's beautiful and it's really fun, and people can actually hear things that they couldn't hear otherwise, but it's being presented to them in a joke. And that's a beautiful tool, but it also can so easily slip into something that's just uncomfortable. And frankly, for me these days, there's so much change in the world that I just feel like the younger people are going to bring something new, and it's going to be different than what we've experienced before. And we have to just be really open to it and embrace it because I feel like it's time to refresh. Burning Man is a sacred space to me, and that you can really go there and be yourself. And I want to see how people are being themselves that are younger generations than me. I'm 62 years old, and so I'm really curious to see what comes next, what's different. And I want to be delighted like I was the first time I went again, which I am every year. I'm always delighted, but I'm looking forward to seeing the change.
Well, thank you, Harley. I think that's really important to hear coming from our Chief Cultural Officer, that it's not just about keeping that old flame alive, but really being open to new. Um, we've run out of time, so thank you all for this lovely conversation. I hope for everyone joining us and listening in that you're a little bit more inspired. Placement often says, like, just bring what you can, do what you can with this resources that you have, and make it interesting, make it unique. And so we do hope that you can see that our predecessors did that, and we're going to continue doing that in 2025 and on. So thank you, Harley. Thank you, Stuart. Thank you, Andie Grace. I'm going to wrap this welcome session with a couple instructions now to let you know how the rest of the day is going to work. So what I want to do is explain the schedule, and then I'll explain how breakout rooms will work. And then we'll have people go to our first planned breakouts. You get to choose your own adventure. So the schedule for the day is coming right up. So coming up next, from about 10:45 to 12:15 Pacific time, all these times are Pacific. Apologies if you're showing up from another time zone and have to convert that. We have 4 wonderful breakouts planned, and you'll be able to, if you only want to spend like half an hour in one and then a little bit more time in another, that's totally fine. We do encourage folks to stay as long as you can because the conversation gets deeper and richer as you go. So that's from 10:45 to 12:15, an hour and a half. We're gonna have a meal break, which will also play a 30-minute video during that time from 12:15 to 12:45. So you're welcome to just, I would say, leave your Zoom on, even if you step away, because that video will go and then you won't have to log back out and in and lose this whole session. So keep your Zoom on, feel free to go off camera at that point, and you're welcome to step away. At 12:45 to 1:45, we have an hour-long plenary. We have about a dozen presenters that have a lot of really rich information to share with you all. Updates about how 2025 will work in Black Rock City, just things that we want to make sure are highlighted in your heads as you plan for this coming burn. And then the last session, the last hour and a half from 2 to 3:30, we'll have open discussion. So these are going to differ. I think functionally will feel the same. You can bounce around to rooms, but what we found in previous camp symposiums is people really want to converse and talk and share with each other and share ideas, propose things, get some feedback. So that's what these open discussions are for. We'll share what those topics are. Please join you're always welcome to go back to our website to check out the schedule and check out the descriptions of things, but this is the general structure. So let me tell you how breakouts are going to work. And we have our first breakout panels in our main room, which is the room we're in right now. We're actually going to hold the conflict mediation session. So if it's about kind of like how to still love your campmates even after the burn. Things get heated out there. We want to make sure people have the tools and ways to figure out how to hear people out and de-escalate and manage the conflict. And then we have 3 breakout rooms. One is Have a Blast, which is all about sustainability and the lovely work of the Green Theme Camp community. We have a digital goodie bag in room 2, which is about all the online resources that are available. People are always producing things, especially with the camp support team and the placement team. There's a lot of rich information. We want to be able to help people be like, if you have a question, where do you go? So that's what digital goodie bag is. And then finally, in room 3, there's going to be a Theme Camp 101 that's really intended for people that are starting out for the first time. We also encourage veteran folks to come in too, to join that if you want to share your wisdom with folks. But again, it's intended really for newer theme camps that are really trying to figure out just the general nuts and bolts. What do I need to know? What's the checklist of things that I should be looking at? And so if you're curious how to join those breakouts, in Zoom at the very bottom, there is a bunch of buttons, and one of those should say breakout rooms. We're going to open them in a minute. I would encourage you to not join them until 10:45 a.m. Pacific, because we just want our breakout teams to sort of set things up, rearrange the room and the chairs, the virtual room, so that they're ready for you all. So we'll have a lovely slideshow featuring camp fringes from across the year between now and then. But that's our day. So enjoy the breakouts. If you have any trouble, feel free to shout out in chat and we will get you in there. Just also know in those sessions, we have a tech moderator who will be able to unmute you in case there's a need for you to actually start the conversation. Whereas within the plenary, when all of us are here together, you will not be able to unmute. So just remember that. Again, join the breakouts in about 10 minutes. And thank you all for coming today. I hope you're excited about the rest of the day. All right, welcome back, everybody. Thank you for participating in the last hour and a half. I hope those are really rich conversations for everyone in your breakouts. And just so you know, we recorded each of those sessions. Those will be packaged. So if you missed them, don't worry. We'll have them in a few weeks up on Burning Man's YouTube site. Thank you again to all the panelists for bringing your rich and we're recording and unrecording, and now we're recording again. Great. So anyway, thank you everyone for sharing your rich knowledge with each other. We hope the conversations will continue in our afternoon discussions. A couple of them were designed that way. There's other topics as well that weren't covered this morning. But I wanted to encourage you all again to stay on this Zoom call. We built in a 30-minute break. Please stretch, go for a walk, do what you need to, take deep breaths, and rejoin us in half an hour. And if you are someone that likes to watch Burning Man videos and get immersed in Black Rock City and remember why we do this and what we're doing, we have a really fantastic video from the International Wood Culture Society, who does beautiful videos from Black Rock City each year. And so, yeah, we'll go ahead and play that. If you don't want to see on camera, feel free to turn that off. And I will reconvene us in 30 minutes. Thanks, y'all.
I'm Lady B. I was Burning Man's first art curator. Larry hired me in 1999 to start and run the art grant program, which I did for 10 years. So I went to art school and grad school in art and was completely thinking I would be a gallery artist and have that career. And in the 80s, I moved to New York City. And honestly, I was so horrified by the art world there. Very competitive. The artists weren't collaborating particularly. It was all super competitive and, you know, thousands of artists trying desperately to get into a gallery and get a show and get a review. And finally, I stopped. I moved to San Francisco in 92, found Burning Man in 95. And really, I was thrilled because the biggest gift of Burning Man to me in terms of the art and really everything else was that it used to be all about me, my work, my show, my gallery. And after I started working with the art of Burning Man, it became about we, which to me is ever so deeply satisfying as opposed to just me.
I think Burning Man art is often outside of the actual art world because a lot of Burning Man artists are not considered artists outside of the art world. Burning Man is a sand pit where you can try new things. We are a safety net for someone who wants to try out something new, who wants to do something bigger than they ever did, who wants to do something more complex, more crazy than they ever did. That doesn't need to be the best art in the world by normal standards, but it is art that we like to see here and that we appreciate here. Not everything that is made here is for a museum, but everything that is made here is for this city, and the city needs it.
There's actually very few people who have like art degrees and art history experience and all of that. So people aren't looking at it from that kind of snotty, critical perspective. Oh, is this good enough? And I think people here are, maybe for the first time in their lives, they're put in touch with art that they can climb, they can touch. There's usually no signage, no name of the artist. And they just stumble upon it and they have a great experience with it. Much of the art here is interactive. And I think for many people, you know, the art situation is you go to the art museum, you don't go within 6 feet of the art or the guard yells at you, you certainly don't touch the art. Out here, there are none of those rules and you can climb the art and it's a completely different experience. It's one thing to stand and just look at a beautiful piece of art, great, no doubt about it. But then if you can actually go inside of it or climb it or do something that is interactive with the piece, it just gives you a bond and a relationship with the piece that you wouldn't have otherwise.
In German, we have the saying, Kunst kommt vom Können. Art comes from can, from the ability to do so. And Arnold Schönberg, who's an Austrian composer, was saying that's not true. Kunst kommt von müssen. Art comes from must. Art comes from this inner need to do art. You're not choosing to do art, you have a need to do so. And I see this out here all the time. We have a lot of artists who somewhere got the inspiration, probably somewhere in the city, and really needed to go forward and build art.
It's open air and the sky is totally white. It's one of those days. We think about how it moves and change now.
Doing art at Burning Man is kind of stupid because you're essentially making a prototype. You do something that you have never done before. You're trying out something completely new. And then you're bringing it to the worst place in the world. You're doing it with only a little money, mostly with volunteers. It's not really a great idea to start with. So it is very stressful for everyone. And I think we are very aware that building art out here is hard on everyone, and that we need to work together and collaborate in order to make this happen. I think that's the beauty of it, that art here is a collaborative process where a lot of people are involved and support each other, to bring something new to everyone else.
Here, nobody hires anyone to work on their crew. Someone decides, they get an idea, well, let's make this. And often they get the idea by coming to Burning Man and seeing the other art, much of which is made by people who have never in their lives made a piece of art. And out here, they have permission to build the thing, have an audience of 80,000 people, which is a rarity. So you come out here, something inspires you, you decide, hey, I could do that. And then you get your friends to join you, and they all learn skills by doing it. And it's just this tremendous sharing experience of we as opposed to me. And I would say to them, watch as many videos as you can, talk to artists who have actually been here, find out how hard it is to, we jokingly call this the Olympics of art, right? Because you have to build the thing when they're often very large scale. It takes a lot of people and effort. Put it up in this very harsh environment and a lot of heat and sun and dust storms. It's very challenging. But people learn and benefit so much from doing this. I was thinking to myself a couple of weeks ago, my God, we have nearly 400 registered art pieces this year. That means that there are 400 groups of people all over the planet who are working and have been working for months together collectively on a piece of art to bring here. How wonderful is that? And that, I think, is unique in the world. Where else does that happen?
I think art is very heavily influenced by the sustainability goal. We are very proactively trying to decrease the amount of carbon emissions. This is the first year where not only the men, but also the temple are completely solar powered, not just during the event, but also pre-event for the build. We are trying to support artists with solar trailers. We have a volunteer group called RAT, Renewables for Artists, who are also helping artists with solar. We are working proactively in artists reusing different materials. But obviously we are still burning art. The important thing for me is we are incredibly strict when it comes to burning art. The most important thing for us is that it's intentional. We don't let you burn art just for the sake of it. You cannot burn art just because you don't want to carry it back home. We're having a deep conversation with you about why you want to burn this art, why this is happening. And we don't allow every piece to be burned. And to me, this intentionality means, yes, we will have carbon emissions from burning the art, but if we can be intentional, then we might also be able to be intentional in other situations in our life. I can skip more meat because it's important to me to burn art. I can use my car less because I want to burn a temple. I think what we're trying to do is starting this conversation that we are aware of it because we still want to burn the men and we still want to burn the temple. We are trying to be better in other areas.
Often people will say, oh, Burning Man, it's a music festival. No, we don't hire bands, we don't have stages. It's an art event. And like I've said, where else on planet Earth can someone who's never made a piece of art build a piece of art with a crew, come out here, put it out, and have 80,000 people look at it? Nowhere. So Burning Man will always be about art.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We are, if you've just joining us, we are in the 2025 Camp Symposium. That was a video from the International Wood Culture Society. They have many great videos, actually, from many years. If you want to just go to the Burning Man Project YouTube page and just look up those words, you will find them along with many other videos that are wonderful. So again, I'm Level. I am the head of placement in Black Rock City, and I'm excited for our last half of the day. We are going to get started with this next hour is going to be a plenary. So all of us are here together once again. It's important for us to share as an organization and as the placement team, important announcements and perspectives. So hope you all will stay with us for this next hour and then the last half hour from there, or hour and a half from there. All right, so I think this is a great opportunity. If you are not on camera right now, I would love to see everyone's faces. I'm sure others would too. But it'd be great if you could. If you don't want to, that's totally fine. But if you want to unveil yourselves, we can see all the beautiful faces here today. Hi, everyone. Go ahead and wave to the camera. Yeah, I think what I'm going to do right now is actually share a few polls with you all so we can get a sense of who's in the room, where we're coming from. And the first one is, where are you calling in from? So go ahead and select that. We'll share the results at the end of the session. We'll only keep it up for a minute. I will also say I was considering adding Mars or, hell as an option, but I just kept it serious. So yeah, where are you calling in from? I know that we designed this around Pacific time, but we also were hoping people were able to join from other parts of the world. So the second question, as you can see, is what's your role in your camp? What do you do? Are you, in leadership in some way? Are you not? Are you the camp lead? Our third question is, how many years have you been a camp organizer? So, and then last is, Burning Man wouldn't be the same without blank. So I think oh, did the poll close? It looked like it closed and maybe reopened. Sorry about that, everyone. Please respond again now that you hear it all again. So take a minute, answer those questions. We'll close them and we'll share the results shortly. All right, I'm going to go ahead and give you 10 more seconds to submit your responses. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's close the poll. Thank you to our magician in the background doing that, and let's share the results. So looks like close to 2/3 of us are coming from the West Coast of the US. Also many other parts of the US, some folks from many other parts of the world. So we have at least one from other continents. I know that there are folks that are maybe choosing not to come this year. There's potential challenges with crossing the border. And so maybe that's not why they're not fully here, but we know burners are all across the globe. So it also looks like in terms of the role of the camp, about a little over half of you are the main camp lead or organizer. Thank you for all your many hours of work. I know it takes a lot. I heard in one of the breakout sessions, it's not herding cats, it's herding squirrels. So thanks for herding all the squirrels. And how many years have you been a camp organizer? We have kind of an even distribution. Definitely some folks. Thank you to all the veteran organizers that have been here for over a decade. That's over a quarter view, and then kind of the mix from there. And Burning Man wouldn't be the same without, the winner is art. So that doesn't mean that all these other pieces don't count, but of course, we just showed you a video about the creation of art. You know, I would dare to say Burning Man isn't the same without all of these things. So anyway, thank you all for playing along with this poll. I hope this gives you a better sense of who's calling in. We are going to, I mentioned this at the top of the whole program, but I love to split you all up into just a 10-minute meet and greet. A lot of the times of why people love the Camp Symposium is just meeting other camp organizers. Who knows what kind of things you might be able to spark with each other. And, you know, we did at one point have this in person. And so those kind of hallway conversations or waiting by the water cooler or, you know, standing in line to wait for the toilet, like those kind of conversations don't happen online so much. So consider this that. We're going to open up 50 rooms. You're going to be randomly assigned to them. Say hello to your fellow burner and you try to find a point of connection. And if you don't, that's okay. We'll bring you all back in 10 minutes. And so I'll go ahead and ask our magic hand behind the scenes to open up those rooms. And you'll be asked to join. Just go ahead and join and we'll bring you all back in 10 minutes. So see you soon. Everyone, I hope that wasn't too abrupt of an end. We just needed to bring everyone back. I hope you all made a connection, or maybe you saw an old friend that you haven't seen since the Playa. Great, we'll have more time, not quite as casually, but in our open discussions this afternoon, you know, that's kind of a space where people will be able to chat with one another, get to know each other better. You know, they'll be topic focused, of course, but yeah, you know, and maybe a newborn baby camp can merge from that experience. All right. So we have about a dozen folks today lined up to really give you some exciting announcements from the world of placement and Black Rock City, various departments. Our very first panel is actually my beloved placement team. So I'd love to bring together and spotlight about 6 of them who are here today. I know if you have joined our office hours that have been happening monthly, you know, many of them show up there. And I know some of you have only an email relationship with them and are trying to figure out like, who's that person behind that email? And so hopefully this gives you a better sense of who they are. Looks like we'll take a minute to get them loaded up here so you can see who they are. Just so you know, the placement team is a fully volunteer team. They spend, you know, I would say 9 months out of the year really working hard, thinking about how to best serve you, think about how to make our process go more smoothly, and are putting in a lot of volunteer labor. So I know a lot of times people are like, well, you know, they're making us do all this work. Can't they see how much work we're doing? We see you, we all see you, and there's a lot of work they're doing too. I try to remind people every word that you write has to be read by at least 3 or 4 people. So just know it's not going into a black hole with no one there to see it. So, all right, we got our panel up. I want each of them, thank you to my team for being here today. Let's go ahead and just do a quick introduction about your name and the sector that you are working in, and maybe one thing you love about your sector. So I'm always go around the clock, so I'm gonna go ahead and start with Governess from 2 and 10.
Hi there, I'm the Governess. I am the lead placer for 2 and 10 o'clock. And gosh, there's so many things I love about this sector. I like the diversity, the large scale sound stuff, plus all of the amazing other camps that form part of the sector, because I think it makes it really interesting and lots of different things happening there.
All right, let's go ahead to move on clockwise to 3 o'clock, KGB.
Hey everybody, KGB. I'm the lead placer for 3 o'clock this year, and I started going. I was dragged to Burning Man in 2007 by the Magpie, and was given my Playa name by him. And I think, you know, one of the things I love about 3 o'clock is that it was where I camped for my first 3 years at Burning Man, and it feels like home.
Awesome. All right, moving right along, we will go to 4:30 with Bravo.
Hey, I'm Bravo. I'm the 430 sector lead this year. And what I love about 430 is there's really a lot of smaller camps that are really fun and they really make the streets great. A lot of interactivity between them across the streets and so forth. It's really a fun time. So yeah, love 430.
Thanks, Bravo. Hepkitten is in a new sector this year, but since we don't have a 6 o'clock rep, I'd love to at least get Hep to introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Hepkitten, and I am in 9 o'clock this year. So far, I'm not super familiar with 9, which I am very much looking forward to getting to know all the 9 o'clock camps. But I can tell you from 6 o'clock, I love the dedication of all the camps and the diversity of all the camps, and how much you put up with the departments and don't complain. It's like the easiest. You guys are like the easygoing sector, and I love that.
Awesome. Thank you, Hep. All right, let's move on to 7:30, Kozmik.
Hey everybody, it's Kozmik, 730 Placer. I started going to Burning Man in 2010. And what do I love about 730? I love the connectedness of community at 730. There's people that have known each other for years and years, and they all hang out all year. It's a very, very tight-knit community that take care of each other, and it's just full of. So I love it.
All right. Amazing. All right. And we'll wrap it up with 9 o'clock. Huntress.
I am Huntress. I am the lead placer for 9 o'clock this year, which is the only sector I have ever lived since I started coming to Burning Man in 2012. So I love it because of familiarity, but also, yes, there's always a party, but I think 9 o'clock's deep commitment to snark and shenanigans will have my heart forever. And I'm excited to be back this year and to see many familiar and new faces.
Thanks, everyone. All right, so we're not going to have a chance for every single placer to answer each of these questions, so we'll try to get a couple perspectives on each. But you know, a question that we get a lot as a team is just kind of like, what are you looking for when you're designing your neighborhood, when you're figuring out which camps go where? What are the things that stand out to you as a placer? What are the things that you kind of highlight and think about when you're doing that mapping? Who would like to take that question?
I could jump in first. I think one thing I would say is variety. I always feel like somebody who's camping on a particular block or street should be able to, if they wanted to, they could stay in their neighborhood for the entire Burning Man and have a wonderful time and never even have to venture out. I want them to venture out, but there needs to be a good variety of things happening on every day, different times of day, so that it's never boring. So, you know, bars are okay, but you can't have an entire street of bars. It's good to just have a whole variety of different things.
Right, variety, the spice of life. Someone else want to answer that in a different way? Hepkitten?
I am always interested in seeing things that are unique or rare and less common, and experiences that you can only get at Burning Man and things done really well. So I love bars. I love seeing bars, but especially when they're done really, really well and they have like a unique twist to them or a different twist to them than just, you know, the regular same old whatever. So something different and new, and also something that's pretty is always good, especially when it's lit up, so that, because I always like to try when I'm working on maps and stuff to look for camps that will draw you down the sector further, and until before you know it, you're like at the back of the city going, how did I get here? And it's just because you were having fun seeing something and wandering.
Great, yeah, uniqueness. I think, you know, our panel in the morning with Harley and Stuart and Andie, they mentioned kind of the original theme camps sometimes were just like these performance experience that you could only get out there. And so that kind of leads me to my next question, which is, you know, we get asked all the time, you know, how do you make something more unique? You know, if you're offering a more common thing like a bar, if you're offering something that you might see kind of in every other corner of the city, do you have any advice about how how a camp could, turn their interactivity from just a, same old to something that would stand out. Kozmik.
Yeah, I've given an example of that. So like a bar is a bar, and but if you wanted to do that, look for something unique within your community, in your theme camp. So for example would be Deaf Granny's Kitchen, which is mostly deaf campmates, and that's their community. They do bring a bar, they've got a DJ, they do some of the same activities that other people are bringing in other theme camps, offering a bar and DJs and dancing, but they're doing something that is part of their value set within their camp. And they're also using it to teach people, like other burners, ASL. So you don't just come up and get a drink. They're using sign language to teach you, so you become part of what their community is. And so I think that's like, it's a bar, partly one of their interactivities, but because they're offering this to everybody in the community for learning interactive, it makes it unique. And I love that they bring this to Burning Man, and it's very challenging for them. And every year that they come, they get more and more people involved with sign language. Now we have another smaller camp that is sign language who wants to come into 7:30 because they went and were near them last year, went into their camp. And so it's neat to see this synergy happening. So that's an example.
Great. Does anyone else have an example or tip that they might offer? Huntress?
Yeah, I can stick with, I think, a bar. What I always am looking for is, even if it's a simple idea, something that takes kind of the commitment and the passion of the campers into mind. So yes, I had friends who had a martini bar. And so everything was they had martinis in tiny shot glasses with a caper instead of an olive. And you had to suck on helium before you could get a drink. So I think that they're experiential and connective, in addition to just going to a bar and ordering a drink, that you're being asked to participate in whatever this experience that has been created. I think similarly, but in a different aspect, you can have a coffee camp. Kaleidoscope, which has been in the 9 o'clock Bee Plaza, I believe they roast their own beans. So they do something, and they do it very, very well, and with an incredible amount of thoughtfulness. It doesn't have to be shiny or bright or enormous, but you get an incredibly good cup of slow pour coffee that they've spent a lot of time, from the beans to actually doing it slowly on the playa, and you have to wait for it. So I think you're asked to participate, even as you're being gifted something in return.
That's great. Bravo.
Yeah, I think it's, one thing I've said to a lot of people lately is, theme camps are art, right? It's your art, the thing that you're doing. It's something you're excited about. So whether you want to bring a bar or bring coffee or bring yoga or bring something else, it's like, what are you excited about? What is your theme? What is your camp really behind? Because it doesn't matter what your base is, it's really what you're putting on top of it. Right? I'm having a birthday party with my friends. No, I'm having a Studio 54 party, right? It puts more fun onto it, adds more costumes, and it doesn't really matter what that bottom layer is. It's what is that interactive aspects to get people excited and part of it that's really important. So as long as you focus on that piece, it doesn't really matter what you're doing underneath it, because people will be excited, and it's a big city, and there's always people that are going to want to come and interact with you in your camp.
Yeah, I think that's really important to think about engagement versus transaction, right? In a lot of places in the default world, people go to a bar because the point is to get the drink and to get sloshed or something. And the point in Black Rock City isn't necessarily about getting that drink. It's about that engagement and the interaction that you get before you get the drink, and the process of that before you get to the drink. And some of my favorite experiences are just that, like, wow, they made me like solve this puzzle before I got what I thought I came here for. And now I have a new friend, or now I have a new idea sparked about how I can do my thing differently. So I think that's something important for people to remember. We got a question in chat, and this was one of my prompts. There also are questions about, like, what do we wish we saw more? When you're coming up with a neighborhood and thinking about, KGB mentioned like the ability to never leave the neighborhood. Sometimes we're still looking for something. What is that thing? What is that camp? What is that interactivity? What is that experience? KGB.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that everybody in their neighborhood wants a bar, and they probably want to find coffee somewhere, and they probably want a yoga, and you know, just the sort of things that make life better. But then the thing that we're looking for, I think, is to mix in things that nobody would have thought of before. It's not a bar, it's some sort of jackassery, it's a game you have to play. It's just something unique that, you know, we don't want everything like that. Nobody can find any coffee anywhere. But on top of those sort of like luxuries of life, think of something that's just weird and unique, and people are gonna, you know, like oh God, I'm drawing a blank on their name, but you know, you pick out your you know, your little stuffed animal, and then you make a party pole out of it, and then you dance around with your party pole, the whole process of adopting the thing, and then they do surgery on it. You know, it's like, who, you know, where are you going to see that outside of Burning Man? You can go to a coffee shop or a bar outside of Burning Man, but where do you get to adopt a stuffed animal and adopt, you know, and make a party pole out of it and then party with your party pole? Like, that's unique.
Thanks. Kozmik.
Well, one thing I just love, just as a personal thing, and I love seeing it at Burning Man and interacting with it, is the live performance shows. And I feel like it's hard to do it on Playa, but when you get a small camp, like a 50-person camp, and it's live performers, either, you know, part of Circus du Soleil type of people or whatever, it's very, I just love that if you can come in and watch and be part of the audience of performance, live performance. And what we haven't had a lot of is live comedy, these type of live events, because it's difficult with the sound and whatnot. But for, I think it's the third year now, we do have a live comedy camp at 730 in G Plaza that has successfully brought it and done it, and people are really enjoying having that interaction with the camp, and they're doing workshops as well of comedy, and I've had that feedback a lot over the years of just comedians and performance artists who have a difficult time doing this at Burning Man. And so it's great to see the comedy coming, and I just love to see the live performances. I feel like we have an untapped pool of this in our community that I would love to see more of. So,
All right, Bravo.
Yeah, where are the goat yoga camps? That's what I'm looking for. I want to do some goat yoga at Burning Man. Maybe have some people dress up as goats. But no, just joking, right? In general, all of us placers have the things we like. You know, I might like something more, someone else might like something, but we don't you know, just take that and be biased, right? But we all have our different things. Ultimately, our job isn't to, we don't want theme camps to do what we think we want more of, right? We just want to make sure the theme camps know that we want you to do something that you're really excited about, right? We don't want you to phone it in. We don't want you to try to think of, well, what does placement want this year? Last year they had more of this, this year want more of this. Like, no, don't do that. Just do something that you're really excited about, right? And unique, right? Or if you're not doing something unique, but you're doing something that you think might not be super unique, just do it, just do the hell out of it, right? And be really excited and passionate about it. And that's the most important thing, because ultimately the city's built by everybody, and the community and the neighborhoods are built by the theme camps. So the more exciting things you come up with, the better the city's going to be, and the more fun all the participants are going to have.
I'm going to make two more points, and I think we have to wrap. You know, I think we often get the question of like, what does placement want to see? And I always try to turn that back to what does the community want to see? You know, ultimately, our team is stewarding, you know, all these questionnaires and really trying to understand that to create neighborhoods and communities. But you know, if you feel like something's lacking out there, if you're going through any part of Black Rock City, you're like, man, I wish this was in this part of town. Maybe you could be the change that is that thing, you know, or maybe you can encourage other folks that are burners when they're talking about this. So it's less about, I think, what placers and placement want to see, and more about what you think what you want to see and what you think your friends want to see. And so I would kind of hold that in your minds as you're thinking about it. And Stuart mentioned earlier, like, try something new. I know there's a lot of tried and true things and things that go well, and that takes many years to nail down. But what can you? It doesn't mean like add 1,000 lasers to your camp, but what can you tweak around the how you create that experience for people? Those are the kind of the things that we're looking for. So we're a little over time. So I want to thank my placers for joining us today. And thank you for all your volunteer service. All our big work is coming up in the next few weeks. So thank you again. And next up, we are going to pull up, as people are wondering what kind of interactivity is out there. We want to give you more of a stats presentation about what we see in the placement questionnaires. We get, about 1,200 theme camps, 1,600 questionnaires overall. And so I'd like to invite up Razzmatazz, who is a placement data support volunteer. He's joined us for the last couple of years. And Raz, take it away.
Thank you, Level. I'll share my screen over here. Okay, hopefully folks can see my screen. Otherwise, start yelling at me or something. Hey everybody, I'm Razzmatazz from Placement Data Support, and I'm here today to discuss the dust in data. So maybe the first question is, how many camps were placed last year? So this is including both theme camps and art support camps and all sorts of camps. And we see that like over the last couple of burns, that these numbers have been pretty flat as the city has, filled out, and we've considered, some of the trade-offs between more placed camps and more open camping. We have also seen the rise of hubs over the last few years. You can see that the number of camps participating in hubs is growing increasingly every year since the program was first launched. And now we're at about 20% of camps are in a hub in some way, shape, or form, which is very exciting as camps share resources. How many people are in each camp? This is one of the big questions I had when I was joining the placement data team. And I was pretty surprised to find that over the last couple of years, like over 2/3 of camps are below 40 people. I thought that was pretty interesting. I think we hear a lot of stories about the big camps. And I think that as somebody in a small camp, I think it's good to see that I am in good company. One question people might ask is, when is the city most alive? Like when in the week are camps hosting different events? In looking at these numbers, I see, a lot of my suspicions perhaps confirmed that like midweek and like around the afternoon are when a lot of events are occurring. Maybe this is inspiration to do some things, even earlier in the week or even later in the week in order to continue to have the city be active and more alive throughout the entire week. So looking at what camps are doing, this is a question that was just coming up in the last panel. We see that comparing 2022 and 2023, or 2023 and 2024, rather, we actually have more bar camps by percentage, or camps offering some sort of bar. Another interesting point is we also see a lot, a very large rise in the number of camps, that maybe have a normal bar, but also are offering non-alcoholic options. And I think that's really great for the folks that come to the burn that do not drink alcohol. We also see an increase in the number of camps doing DJ or dance type events throughout the week. Looking at some things that have trended down over time, on the flip side, where we have a lot of DJ and dance camps, we actually have fewer camps doing live music. So maybe that's something that your camp is doing, and you can champion that even more, and maybe more camps will consider doing live music. Especially, as some of the placers said, if you're really excited about live music and think that's a really important part of your burn. And then also, we see fewer camps providing food in the form of full meals. Now, we actually are seeing an increase in number of camps providing snacks and like smaller, quick bites to eat. But definitely, I can speak to my personal experience of enjoying a good Playa meal that's hearty and, exactly what I need, maybe in the middle of the night, maybe after dancing all night. And then finally, something that kind of surprised me about the data, this year we started, or in 2024, we started tracking how many fitness and gym camps there are. And we found that there were 16 of these. Perhaps this is not how I want to spend my burn, but I'm very thrilled that there are people excited about this. And I think it's super cool that 16 camps have figured out how to make this actually happen out on Playa. And yeah, that's everything from me. Thank you so much, everybody. And back to you, Level.
Thanks, Razzmatazz. There is a lot of data. Every form that gets filled out can turn into some bars and graphs. So hopefully that gives you a little flavor. I saw some questions in the chat about like, could we break this down by sector? And we can try to do that. It does take time to chew on all of that. But thank you, Razzmatazz. You really helped level up our ability to explain all the information that we sit on. And one kind of anecdote, we did ask, what is a Playa meal? Is a hot dog a meal? Is it a snack? Is it I don't know. So that's the challenge with data categorization, but we did our best. So thanks, Raz. So today is brought to you by Placement's Camp Support Team. There's also the placers who are doing the mapping and reviewing placement questionnaires. Obviously, you have the little small data arm now. I also wanted to just sort of see by raise of hands, how many of you know what peers is? I see some handshaking, some hands raised. Great. Well, Peers is another arm of placement that formed in 2018. It started out as the Camp Support Squad, Camp Survey Squad, and now is a burgeoning whole team of over 200 volunteers that show up and visit camps. And so we prepared a little video for those of you who don't know, and also for those of you who do, a little sneak peek into what it's like to be in Peers and through the eyes of a couple of our volunteers. All right, Peers, thank you to all our Peers volunteers. If you yourself have signed up and done one of those shifts, thank you, thank you, thank you. As they said, we do try to gather information to really improve the placement process for the next year. So if you're like, you get a visit from a Peers volunteer and you're unhappy about your location or your neighbors or something like that, you can let them know. Or if you're thrilled about it, you can let them know. We really rely on them. I know for many years, theme camps said, placement never visits me beyond showing me my flags when I first get there. So really consider Peers, those folks that are visiting you. They covered about 1,000 camps last year, and our goal is to try to cover all 1,200 theme camps. So, the more people that we have to visit, the lighter the work, and we can get to all 1,200. So anyway, thank you all for that. Now I'm going to have a parade of Burning Man staff to help share with you the latest and greatest in 2025. There's several initiatives that we want to let you know about and some new things in the works. So first up, I'd love to call up Laura Day, our Associate Director of Operations. If you all visited Center Camp last year, Laura was one of the visionaries to help make it all happen. So Laura, take it away.
Thanks, Level. Hi, everybody. Laura Day here, and I get the supreme honor of getting to work in operations, which means I wear lots of hats. And one of those hats is helping reimagine what the center of the city can look and feel like post-cafe. And just a little bit about me, my very first burn was in 2009, and I camped with this small, wonderful little camp called Cohesion. So that is my theme camp story. And I'm going to share a screen. My colleagues all know that my love language is slide decks. So I made one for you. And last year, we created, as Jack said, a miracle, reimagining the heart of Black Rock City with this revitalization project. And I'm about to take you on a quick journey through our successes via the comments section of social media. Maybe. There we go. Maybe. Yeah, all right. Well, let's see. Was Center Camp any better this year? I'm excited to hear from all of you what you thought, but the results are in. According to the post-event survey, Center Camp scored a 4 out of 5 by those who came to participate or experience that reinvention. And as you can see, lots of people loved it. It was very well received by a lot of folks that we heard from. And the entire neighborhood was wildly interactive and fun. So a huge shout out to all of the camps that participated in that and made it so awesome last year. And this year, we're really going to lean into cultivating an even stronger sense of community and neighborhoodness in Center Camp Plaza. I mean, we had snowboarding and jazz. We had breakfast sandwiches and coffee and homebrew and fire and karaoke and flaming skee ball. It was not boring. And while the neighborhood created the crucible for the vibe, Center Camp Canopy was most definitely lit. And this is a collaborative effort. We had 230 unique folks bringing something to the canopy. And it was a beautiful moment and opportunity to work together with the community on projects that they wanted to bring to life and support them in new ways that we've never really done as an organization before. And this was like an experiment with cultural and social architecture married with urban design. So it was I got to nerd out a little bit in my mind. And the collaborators that we worked with had such positive feedback as well. And we can't wait to see what folks imagine and spin up for this year. So things like hot beverages could still be enjoyed any time of day. And there was so much shenaniganery. I think that's a word, shenaniganery. Yeah, okay. Folks that have been working as volunteers in Center Camp for a long time just loved the difference of how this manifested for the community. We built a bar for pop-up slinging, and lots of camps brought something to the bar. Or folks that are not quite ready for prime time but want to try out a concept, and we've got a spot for folks to do that. And we had lots of parties, so many parties throughout the week. And this is just the beginning. So many came away inspired and excited to bring it harder and better this year. And of course, it's always going to be better next year. So if you or anyone you know, or you want to volunteer someone who might be the perfect folks to bring some love to the city's heart, it's a beautiful, fulfilling, and special kind of love that happens there. And of course, if you need a good spot for a meetup with your friendies from across the way, you are always invited to get lost in a bit of wonder with us first. Keep your eyes peeled for a participation form, of course, in a placement newsletter and or Jackrabbit Speaks, JRS, coming soon. That's what I've got for Center Camp. Back to you, Level. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Laura. Yeah, if you haven't filled out the placement questionnaire yet, in there you can actually, there's a question specifically asking, do you want to be placed in the plaza of Center Camp? Would you like to activate the canopy and be placed somewhere else, or would you like both? So that's one way to let us know, and we'll find other ways to make sure that we catch all the folks that want to help make Center Camp another amazing, incredible year. Next up, I have Christopher Breedlove, the Director of Civic Activation, who's here to tell us a lot more about greening your burn and the initiatives that we have there. You know, he's really led the way internally as well as within the community around getting us on this wagon all together around making our burn more regenerative and better for the earth. So, Mr. Breedlove.
Great. Thank you, Level. Morning, everybody. I guess it's afternoon now. Wonderful to be here. As Level said, you know, I have the honor of working with the organization, but I also get to run the Burns Without Borders camp. I'm a TCO there. And really, I'm going to go quickly through a bunch of data here. And what you're not going to see is the whole community of people who are working on this. I just happen to be good at talking fast, so I'm going to present it today. So let's get into it. All right, so the Green Theme Camp community. Whoop, there we go. What is the Green Theme Camp community? The Green Theme Camp community is a bunch of TCOs, sustainability leads, and also programs that we've been building since 2020 to try and help you make your burn more green and more sustainable. A few years ago, this is a photo of the roadmap that we published. It is a suggestion of maybe how you might want to go along on your path. And I'm going to talk about a few of these points on the map today. First of all, BLAST, it stands for Burner Leadership Achieving Sustainable Theme Camps. You can think of it as a theme camp rating system, or maybe if you know what LEED is for buildings, this is for your camp. Over here on the right, you can see an image that was designed for us by DA from Playa Resto, and we help camps think about where they are on power, water, food, waste, shelter, and transportation. And so for our third year last year, we had 85 camps. 62 of those were new. That was a 35% increase. And we are hoping that this year we can hit 10% of all camps, maybe even 25. And so we haven't released the scores yet, but we just totaled them up. And so these were your highest scoring BLAST camps from last year. And I want to call out Spice and Vice for being the highest scoring camp 2 years in a row. So here's a quick map. You can see the spread of these BLAST camps around the Playa. And also you can see these green rectangles over here, which is the green corridor. What is the green corridor? It is an experiment we've now done for 2 years. It is a collection of camps that are not where their theme isn't sustainability, but they happen to be wanting to use sustainability infrastructure. So last year we had 20 camps join. That's a 100% increase. We're hoping to do it again this year. You can kind of see the map, and we are working with placement to get it a little bit more cohesive, hopefully, and maybe even 2 locations this year in the city, both with compost. What's up with compost? It's the Playa-wide compost program. For the very first time last year, we had 2 compost collection camps. And we were able to serve over 10,000 burners, and that's over 6,000 gallons of waste diverted, which is amazing. We're really looking forward to continue that. And our new things, real quickly, is we just launched the resources guide. So now there are toolkits online for power, water, food, waste, shelter, and transportation. This is an example of the waste page. Thank you to Papercut for doing this. Our things are start here, beginner, intermediate, and advanced. And this is now skills you can do to get a higher BLAST score and also to figure out how to be more sustainable. And so I'm going to wrap this up by just saying, how do you get involved with us? We just launched a new Discord. That is the QR code. I'm going to have that link go up in the chat. And I just wanted to finish by saying that this year you are able to actually click to participate in BLAST and the Green Corridor in your PCQ. So if you want to do that this year, we're making it easier with our friends at Placement. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Christopher. Yeah, once again, if you want to participate in either of these, we'll announce them, but they are in the placement questionnaire. There's a couple check boxes where you can say, I would like to join BLAST, or I would like to join the Green Corridor. And we'll collate that and share that with Breedlove and other members of our team to figure out how to fit all those pieces together. Lots of pieces to fit together. So next up, we have the Magpie, who's the head of Gate Perimeter and Exodus. As Charlie mentioned earlier, there are things that we're doing to try to make everyone's lives easier, and including how to get through Gate faster. And of course, we need your participation as much as the Gate staff to get through that quickly. So let's bring up Magpie and share what he's got. Hey, Magpie.
Greetings, I am the Magpie. I'm the lead volunteer at Gate Perimeter Operations, and I'm also the department manager. And as it happens, I'm the king of the island of broken and misfit toys. So what I'm hoping to give you is some information to facilitate your entry into Black Rock City and hasten your departure. GP is responsible for building the Gate Road. It's ensuring the safety into the city and of all the participants and the people moving back and forth. We maintain an accurate population count, and we fulfill the obligations for the BLM permit. Could I get a slide, Devin? This is the Gate Road, and it is what takes you from Highway 34, which is over here on the left, lower left, through the Gate Operations area, which is the island of broken and misfit toys. Let me think about this for a second. Okay. So it also shows some other points of access that you will not use. So next slide, please, Devin. This is the Gate Operations area. And where you do is you come in at the top through Apex. You are sorted and sent either to will call if tickets are required, or to the lanes to be processed if you think you've got everything that you need. If you make it into lanes without the required documentation, you are sent to the D lot. over in the lower left. DLOT is not a punishment. This is where the staff there are pretty skilled. Their job is to help and solve problems. It is one of the tougher jobs in gate perimeter access. People missing documents are often very, very emotional, hysterical, angry, combative, you name it. But we have to take that home emotionally and deal with it. And it's not an easy job. So be kind when you see them. And of course, DLOT can be used to punishment if you're dangerous or you treat our staff with hostility or verbal abuse. Then you've earned a timeout. And we get to decide when you leave after you consider your sins. Well, let's discuss this. I'm sure you all have a question about that. That's always burning on people's minds. So let's just point out, you all arrive in a wildly different state of mind than when you leave. You seem really focused on stuff when you leave, and it's a little more difficult to get your attention. If you leave on Monday, you're a lunatic. It's the busiest traffic day in the United States. And so I don't quite understand why you'd want to hop into that line, but that's your business. I'm going to give you the process here. First of all, know this: the time that it takes you to get from your camp to greeters is not part of Gates' mission. We can't work inside the city and we have no control over the movement of your vehicles. The travel times that we provide to you are from when you reach greeters, and it describes the time it takes to exit via Highway 34. You pass through our pulsar system, which is our way of maintaining a traffic flow. We are now able to use our F-lot, which you can think of as a rest stop. It's where you can stop, meet your friends, use the bathroom, get some internet, and tie down your loads. So road conditions will be updated and travel time information is available via BMIR, GARS system, and a Burning Man website. All that information will probably make it into the survival guide, and it will also be available in Jackrabbit Speaks. So Exodus, I'm going to just tell you, most dangerous thing we do on purpose at Gate. We get the most vehicle on person strikes, the most near misses, physical assaults, verbal abuse, and middle fingers during Exodus if things are going poorly. And that takes a pretty deep emotional toll on people. We're only trying to help, and the last thing you can remember is how poorly you're treated as you did that. So please, just be kind. We will try and be as kind as we can too. Just remember, anything that we estimate is subject to extreme conditions, and we can't control weather, floods, or whether the highway system is closed because of an accident somewhere else. So that usually is what represents why you might have an extreme travel time. It's not that we're inept. We're actually really, really good at our job. I appreciate you guys putting up with me, and thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Magpie. All right, let's make this Introdus and Exodus go real smooth for everyone. All right, next up, I mentioned this is a parade, so we're gonna get the next presenter, who is HotSpot, our utilities superintendent. Many of you are part of the BRC Fuel program, which I think a couple hundred camps are subscribed to on Playa. And so we want to make sure we all have the information you need for this year. So HotSpot, take it away.
All right. All right, welcome. I'm HotSpot. I'm the DPW Utilities Superintendent, and I run the utilities departments, which includes the petrol department and the waterworks department, which have participant-facing programs. And today I'm here to tell you about the Black Rock City Fuel Program. This program is a fuel safety program, which was intended to reduce the amount of traffic transporting large loads of fuel into the event, as well as reducing the need for large fuel storage in camps. And we're going to speak later to the dangers of large fuel repositories in the city. This program is meant for registered participant groups, and it is not meant for walk-up fuel supply. The registration deadlines for this program shifted last year. We've asked any camp requesting delivery to a generator to register with us by March 31st, which is right after the placement deadline. And this allows us to work with placement to get layout changes for camps and access roads in place so we can safely deliver in the city. We do have a final application deadline of June 15th, and we do not accept walk-up registrations except for accessibility vehicles. We have a number of account setup steps. These are detailed further in our customer how-to guide, which is available on the BRC Fuel Program webpage. And those include your application, going through a review process, activating your account on Playa, asset registrations, and then getting on the delivery list. One of our biggest messages here is we want you to be a part of the fuel reduction efforts in Black Rock City. So before the sustainability roadmap went into place in 2019, the petrol department was already working with participant groups to help them reduce their fuel consumption and thereby reduce our carbon footprint. So you can do a number of things. You can and lean on community resources, which have been talked about in other presentations. So right size your power grid. There's groups like Blast that can help you with this. Learn to use renewable resources. So their RAT has some excellent information on this. And then within the last year, we rolled out a renewable fuels program within the BRC Fuel Program. So we tested these renewable fuels in infrastructure for 2 years, 22 and 23, and then in 2024, we offered this to participants. So we have been chipping away at reducing that carbon footprint that we have in Black Rock City, and you can be a part of that. So we've done that with both renewable diesel and with renewable propane, and we aim to grow these programs. The propane side of our operations requires special handling. We have people who go through industry training. The big note here is that we can only deliver propane in certain sections of the city. So please let us or placement know if you have tanks that are greater than 100 pounds that require filling, because we need to be able to make sure that we can get, that you're able to be in a location that we can deliver to, or we can figure out like some sort of alternative solution. It's better to do this ahead of time than on site. When you get to Playa, you need to come see us at Health Station to activate your account. The date you put into your application to start fueling is a target. That is all. If you don't tell us you're on Playa, we cannot complete the process and get you on a fueling route. So please do not wait until you are on like day 2 of being on Playa and your generator's out of fuel. Remember, your lack of planning does not constitute an emergency for the fuel department. We have obligations to those who did it right. Health Station is located at 9:30 and halfway to Fence Line, and the dates, times, and everything like that are posted on our fuel program webpage. We will send field registration staff out to your site to assess your camp layout, make sure it matches the approved layout, and if it doesn't work with you, to make sure that we can meet safety criteria for delivery. If you can't meet this safety criteria, we'll give you a punch list to fix, and then we'll come back the next day. Fuel storage guidelines will be, it's critical to meet these, and Bookmark will be speaking on this more in a later presentation. Daily fuel deliveries. Once you've met all the safety criteria and your assets have been tagged, you'll go on a fueling list for the next day. Our routes start very early in the morning, and diverting trucks from their routes adds a lot of time to our driver's day. Please treat our delivery teams with respect. This is a safety program, and these are members of our community as well. This is how they choose to contribute to our city. And they spend long, hot days in these trucks in order to keep our city running. So also, servicing all the camps we do is a minor miracle. Thank you. We appreciate your time in learning and understanding your important role within the fuel safety program.
Thanks, HotSpot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say it's a major miracle, not a minor miracle, to get everyone fueled. So practice some patience. That's what we're often telling people around all the things, and know that there's good people that are trying to make it all work. So a couple other people that are wonderful and trying to make it all work are coming up next. To tell you more about our outside services program, I want to kick it off by saying first that, we try to encourage people to do it yourself. and you know, bring your own things in, take it all out. But sometimes we all need a little help, and we have, fortunately, an outside services program. I'm here to introduce Matt Morgan, Hazmat, who is the Associate Director of Business Operations, and Not Your Mom, who is our Business Services Manager. So take it away.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm Hazmat, and I oversee the business operations department, which consists of all of our purchasing, procurement, rental handling, sanitation, the Burner Express program, the Burner Air program, the airport, and not the least of which is the outside services program, which I work with Not Your Mom.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brienne, or Not Your Mom on the Radio. And I run the OSS program. For anyone who's not familiar with the OSS program, if you have ever rented or wanted to rent a generator or porta potty, those vendors come through the OSS program. Or if you have a storage container that's stored outside of our program, outside of the Burning Man storage program, that's also an OSS provider.
Sure. So one of the big changes that's happening this year is we are reintroducing the delivery of housing. And for those of you who remember, in 2022, we disallowed housing as a deliverable class, and we did that for primarily cultural reasons, in hoping that it would do away with or drastically cut down on convenience camping or turnkey camping. It turns out it did that a little bit, but it didn't do what we wanted it to, and it adversely punished people who were actually trying to do it right. In some cases, it created safety concerns. So we are reintroducing it this year, and we're not making too many changes to what the previous policy was. And I'll just tell it to you right now. It's placed camps in good standing are eligible for delivered housing. First-year camps are eligible for housing, and unplaced camps are eligible for housing up to 5 or 6 units. And for each of these use cases, you need to have your camp lead or designated logistics lead on Playa in order to get these things dropped. In the past, especially for unplaced camping, people used it to land grab. Sometimes folks want to vendors want to expedite their own deliveries, and so they start trying to get stuff out there. We're not going to let anything out of McKinley Park, which is the storage area, until we actually have folks on site who can accept that delivery. Brianne?
So for this year, we have reached out to previous vendors who have delivered housing to Playa. But if you have any housing vendors that you want to work with that have not worked with us in the past, please encourage them to reach out to outside services at burningman.org so that they can be part of the program.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that goes for any other allowed delivery type. Specifically if you're looking at heavy equipment, power providers, one of the first things you should ask them is whether or not they are participating in the outside services program. Because if you are hoping to have it delivered through point one, then they need to be part of that program. And that deadline is coming up pretty soon. It is the end of this month. So there's not much time left. And I'll just leave it with, if you have any questions, please hit us up at outsideservices@burningman.org. That's one word, outsideservices@burningman.org. And we're happy to take your questions. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Hazmat. Thanks, Brienne. All right, we talked a little bit about the fuel program earlier, and now we also want to let you all know about fuel safety. Not every camp is in part of the fuel program, but some of you might bring in your own fuel, which is perfectly fine. We just want to make sure you're doing it safe and we avoid fires and other hazards. So I want to bring on Bookmark, who is our environmental compliance manager, and he'll tell you a little bit more about what we're looking at. Go ahead, Bookmark. I think you're muted still, actually.
I am still muted, so thank you for that. Good to see everybody. I'm going to share my screen really quickly. So as Level mentioned, I'm here to talk to you about how to burn the man and not your camp, why it's important to store your fuel correctly if you are bringing your own fuel. So this diagram is available in a bunch of places online, and will be in the survival guide as well. But the main points about fuel storage, and I should back up by saying this is about your safety. It's also a requirement of our special recreation permit with the BLM. So deviations from these requirements could result in you getting a citation from the Bureau of Land Management. Fuel storage. So liquid fuel, that being gas, diesel, white gas, etc., must be stored. This is true for liquid and propane, must be stored at least 50 feet from other fuel storage areas. So that's like your neighbor's fuel storage area. And 20 feet, liquid fuel and propane need to be 20 feet apart. And what's very important is that both of these types of fuels need to be stored at least 10 feet from anything that they could catch on fire. That includes tents, RVs, shade structures, bikes, all that good stuff. So 10 feet from any flammable materials. The only thing that should be within 10 feet of a fuel storage depot is a fire extinguisher, which is actually required in the regulations. So it's also really important to keep that 10 feet of space clear and accessible to emergency vehicles at all times. If your fuel depot catches on fire while your 10 feet of space is full of bikes during your tutu party, it'll be really difficult for emergency services to access that area and extinguish the fire. In 2023, there were 5 unplanned fires in camps, including some significant property damage and minor injuries, and required a lot of restoration of the playa. So we're really trying to avoid all of those situations with these fuel storage requirements. We do also, you can combine your fuel storage with your neighbor's fuel storage if that makes sense and helps you meet the 50-foot requirement. But the maximum amount of fuel in any single camp or in any single fuel storage area is 110 gallons, which is the equivalent of 2 55-gallon drums. If you have more fuel than that in your camp, it could be confiscated and relocated, so that we're not having big flammable fuel storage areas. Just talking about shade for a little bit. Shade, liquid fuel canisters, gas cans, etc., are designed to be stored in full sun if they're not filled over their fill line and they're in good condition. Building shade over your fuel structure or your fuel storage might seem intuitive, but it can actually be dangerous if your depot catches on fire, catches shade on fire, shade's connected to other shade, or it's a windy day, it blows into a camp. It's just not really a great situation. Shade structures can be built over propane storage. Some propane tank manufacturers recommend that propane tanks be stored in under shade. So you can build shade over propane. You should not and cannot build it over liquid fuel storage areas. The other really important thing about fuel is secondary containment. You must keep all of your fuel cans in secondary containment that can hold 110% of the largest container stored within it. So if you've got a 55-gallon drum within there, it must hold 62.5 gallons, which is 110% of 55. It doesn't need to hold 110% of all of the canisters, just the largest one. These are some bad ideas for fuel storage. Keeping it really close to a running generator, underneath an RV, next to your tent, underneath some shade. None of that would work out for you in the long run. This is a video of what happened in 2023 when one of our campers had pulled up to camp, wanted to take a nap in their RV, turned on their generator, which was in the bed of the truck, with some gas cans. The gas cans caught on fire. Luckily, no one was hurt, but they lost their truck, their camper, and pretty much everything they brought to Burning Man with them. That is the aftermath of that situation there at the bottom. And these are some resources. We'll put links in the chat for what makes a good fuel canister and how to store your fuel properly. Another point to make is that what happens if you spill fuel, or anything else for that matter, if you have a spill of anything and the spill and the contaminated playa can fit within a 5-gallon bucket or less, dig it up and take it home with you and dispose of it off-site. That you can kind of gauge that 5 gallons by about the size of a bike tire. If it's smaller than a bike tire, it'll generally fit in a 5-gallon bucket. If you've got bigger spills, please reach out to a ranger or one of our volunteers, Earth Guardians, who can help get you the resources needed to clean up that spill. And then black water or fuel spills over 25 gallons are considered emergencies. So reach out to the rangers ASAP if you have a situation with black water or fuel water over 25 gallons. Black water or fuel, not water, just fuel. While we're talking about fire, if you have a burn barrel or you're burning anything else, it needs to be 6 inches off the playa to avoid creating a burn scar. And also, if you are burning materials in a burn barrel, you should really only be burning wood. If you're burning stuff that's moopy or releasing embers into the air, that is something we want to avoid. So elevating those burn barrels off the playa, leveling up. And that is all I have for you today. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Bookmark. Really great information. We are trying to prevent fires out there. Sometimes we see them, sometimes you don't. And so the more we can just avoid them altogether, the better. All right, we have one final presentation in this parade, and it is from a fan favorite, DA of Black Rock City, our Playa Restoration Manager. Of course, we expect every camp to clean it all up and move it all up, and sometimes some splinters remain, and sometimes some rebar remains, sometimes some lag bolts. So DA is here to zoom through a lot of slides in not a lot of minutes, so I'll hand it over to him. And that'll wrap our parade before we break out again. So DA, take it away.
Hey gang, can you see my screen?
Yep, it looks like it's loading up right now.
The loading. Your screen share. Let me try that again. Not sure what's happening here. I'm experiencing technical difficulties.
Yeah, it says you are starting to share your screen.
There's just too much moop. Too much moop. Let me see. Let's try one more time. I can share this link out to everybody, and then in fact, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna share the link out to everyone and just put it in the chat because it is already it is here for you guys to be able to see. I'll put it in the yeah, I'm not sure what's happening. Stand by.
Can I see?
Let me get this link to everybody.
All right, I told everyone planning this that we are not the Grammys or the Emmys. We are the Camp Symposium, trying to figure out how to do it over Zoom. So
yeah, I'm totally pro here, actually. I don't know what's going on there.
Oh, there we go. We can see it now.
I don't know why that was going on. All right. Anyway, thank you. All right, gang, let's bring this home. I'm DA Playa Restoration Manager. And here we go. There she is, the Black Rock Desert. I can't wait. Anyway, let's go over the leaving no trace principle. We are committed to leaving no physical trace of our activities wherever we gather. We clean up after ourselves and endeavor whenever possible to leave such places in a better state than when we found them. Now we're going to talk about MOOP, a word in burner culture that stands for matter out of place. MOOP is anything and everything that isn't natural to the Black Rock Desert environment. Black Rock Desert is nothing but dust. Therefore, MOOP is everything. Leave no trace. So, worst MOOP in BRC 2024 countdown. Here we go. Number 3, wood debris. Say it with me. Wood debris. This is the former heavyweight champion of MOOP. And this is for decades number 1. And a few years ago started to lose that top spot. And then so number 2, well, it's a wood debris. So this is your sawdust, this is your firewood, this is lumber. So make sure you get all of that up. Number 2, plastic debris. Is your zip ties, bottle caps, packaging, glow sticks, connectors, garbage bags, etc. All right, and now the number 1 MOOP again. Drum roll, please. Bing. Lag bolts, tent stakes, rebar. The rise of lag bolts and tent stakes and rebar. In 2019, just to show you how we're trending, 2019, we had 100 lag bolts. In 2022, we had 1,000. And in 2023, we had 1,500. And we've been raising the alarm. And yet in 2024, we still had approximately 1,500. So they're not all in one place. Everybody seems to be missing a few here and there. Divide that amongst our population, and we've got like 1,500, which we need to really improve on. This is super important. And here's the rest of the list. Tent stakes, plastic debris, wood, assorted matter out of place, metal debris, cardboard, glass debris, textiles, electronics debris, cigarette butts, micro MOOP, unidentifiable, carpet rugs, plant matter, food debris, burn scars, paint chips, and fireworks. And there's the MOOP map itself. Here's a zoom in. And here we go. Red, yellow, clear. Red means we were stopped in this area. We were finding progress to be difficult. Yellow means we were stop and go, moderate. And clear means we were go, go, go. We were cruising. So there's my team. It's like 150 people out there covering all of the Black Rock City. The BLM's MOOP standard for Burning Man is 1 square foot per acre. So say it with me, 1 square foot per acre. So if you can imagine an acre is 43,560 square feet, or imagine a football field. Imagine a football field without the end zones, and that's pretty much it. Now imagine a square foot, and then now you're talking 1 square foot versus that football field. And by the time that resto is happening, MOOP is averaging about 1/4 of an inch. So everything comes down to debris, which is why we use that term. And that's the term that is actually in the BLM inspection. So Black Rock City is over 3,700 acres. So that's like 3,700 football fields, or 157 million square feet. Okay, so that's a lot of square feet. And that's why your cleanup effort means the world to us. The BLM inspection is conducted 1 month after the burn. In 2024, we passed with flying colors. In fact, we did super good. There's the seal of approval. And that's the inspection right there. Look at all that green and look at just a very little bit of red dots. And then here is average debris by city section. We have the city grid in blue, and then open playa and other and walking camping. And then here's the big score over the years. And you can see that trend. And somewhere around 2012, 2013, 2014, we started going on this wild ride, zigzag up and down. And we had one of our best scores ever in 2019, which actually, if you look at 2006, they were roughly around the same. In fact, 2019 was even better than 2006, and that's with half of the population. So we did really great there. But then we spiked up again in 2022 and brought it down in 2023, and then again in 2024. Also, the BLM added a new part of the inspection where we were not allowed to fail 10% of the total 120 test points. That means we're not allowed to fail 12. So in 2019, when they added that, we only failed one. But back in 2022, we failed 8. And then in 2023, we failed 11, which put us dangerously close. Now, we can be under 1 square foot per acre, but if we get over this, we fail. So it was really important for us to bring it down, of which we did this year. We brought it down to 3. So great job, everybody. And yes, that's great. And Black Rock City, we can always do better. So do pull out those lag bolts, stakes, rebar, tag them, mark them, and account for them. Do 7-minute daily camp MOOP sweeps. Do this every day. The more the merrier. And it was so fast and it's super easy. Arms width apart across the camp width. So make sure you have enough people. Here's how to do the MOOP sweep. And also do daily camp MOOP map. So when you're doing your MOOP sweeps, do your MOOP map. Start drawing on it. Start marking the areas that are trending. The areas like your bar, the burn barrel, the showers, wherever you start, your dance floor, wherever you're starting to find that MOOP where it's slowing you down, color it red, color it yellow. But just start getting an idea of it and keep it for your records. And there it is, red, yellow, clear. And do MOOP test your camp. All right, this is my team doing a MOOP test. You'll see there's a spike in the ground with a string. That's a 38-foot string where they MOOP the radius, and it's a much more intensive version of a MOOP sweep. So that's how you do that. So you hammer it into the ground, then you tie it off, and then you put the MOOP into a plastic bag. Keep it for your records. And do remove all flags. Remove those flags. It is so helpful. We would really appreciate that. There's thousands upon thousands of flags in Black Rock City. When you grab your handful of flags, that is a huge help because multiplied by the entire population, all those flags are gone. And that way my team can focus on the MOOP. So leave no trace. Thank you, Black Rock City. Join Resto September 15th to October 2nd. See you on the Playa, restoration at burningman.org. Happy Bernal Equinox. I'll see you on the Playa.
Thank you, GA. Like I said, a lot of information and not a lot of time. That was probably this entire plenary. I do want to remind folks that we will represent this. It's all recorded, so you can watch it live. Actually, if you go to the Burning Man Project Facebook page, if you're on Facebook, there will be an automatic representation, but we'll package it and post it on YouTube to go out more widely in case you're not on Facebook. So thank you everyone from Burning Man Project and the placement team who presented this last hour. I know it's a lot of information, but hopefully that makes everyone that's on the call feel more equipped about getting out to Black Rock City. If you have any questions at any time, I know people were like, email this, email that. We will send out a link of presentations as well as links to the actual departments and how to get a hold of them. And you should never be afraid to email placement@burningman.org. We are always here to answer your questions and point you in the right direction. And I also do want to give one last plug for our monthly placement office hours, which are the last Thursday and Friday of each month through July. We block out a time from 6 to 7 p.m. on Thursday and 10 and 11 a.m. on Friday, each of those months, to help answer any questions you might have. So email us, come to office hours, review the stuff that we've presented today once we've repackaged that. But I hope this has been super informative for all of you. And thank you all for just sitting here and listening to it all. Please take a stretch break, a bathroom break, whatever break you need. Drink some water too.